This is what happens when you're doing 10 things at once and don't get to concentrate on one. So. We'll come back to Zach in a minute. December at 12 for Book for Lunch, we have a Kansas humanities speaker. Jose Faust will be speaking dynamics of immigration in the lens of virtual art and poetry. He's going to bring some art and poetry from his experience and a personal journey about it coming from Colombia. But we thought that was kind of interesting, just hearing people's story, how they came to America. We're going to do that. They changed my name, which a lot of us, our families changed their name coming over. I know my family did. So that'll be interesting. And do not forget self-indulgence. If you haven't enjoyed Dubai and Katie yet, please get on the website, click on it, and go to their podcast. It now is titled so you know what they're talking about, what the theme is. So there you go. They're very funny and sometimes they're very good and it's very hey, just look at the smile and her, you gotta watch her. Also sign up to receive our email and also digitally our a PML website on online resources. We put together a newsletter and Vi's been doing that with everybody giving her stuff to do. We didn't get our printed copies out because we were gone all last week. And Garrett and four of us were Garrett, Chelsea, myself, and Vi, and when there's five of us actually. We're gone for Kansas Library Association, so we didn't get that done, but we will. And then our 2026 children's programming will start again January. Yeah, that's an old one. I didn't change it out. And then our youth activity center is open 3:30 to 5:30, and holidays, some holiday time. If we don't have a lot of kids coming for the holiday time, we may not staff fully from 1 until 5. We might do it at a different time, and we'll post that if there were any changes. Just depends, because some of our kids live farther away. If we have children right around the library, then they're more apt to come. So it just depends. We'll figure that out. And then just remember, when we get a storm, our online catalog, our Facebook page, and our website will all tell you when we're closed. Okay. And we try on our website to put something on the left-hand side that says, hey, book for lunch or book sale or something like that to tell you where we're closed. Try to do that and get something posted. And then don't forget Hoopla. If you can't get the book in print, it's often in Hoopla. Sometimes it's in Libby. If it's something you want in Libby, please put a hold on it so we can see that somebody's looking for it from our library. If sometimes we don't get it and buy it. And then also our English classes will go. So will our English classes continue through December? No, they will okay. Yeah. All right. There you go. And so now let me. Oh, isn't that wonderful? Well, there you have it. Yeah. Function. There. We'll see. Come on up, Zach. I will introduce you without your information. This is Zach Diamanti, and he will be talking about his book, Guard in the Garden. As you will notice, his table has lots of books, lots of things to tell about. He's going to tell you his background. I'm not going to. I read his whole, some of his write-up. It's beautiful.
Okay, I almost saying too if I just like leave this. Just the glasses.
Worked hard at becoming an author, publishing, getting noticed, and it's just awesome. So we want to welcome you.
Yeah, right. Thank you. Is this okay? Nothing I can grip on this? No, I'm okay. Wait, nobody needs to see a slideshow of all my craziness, right? How's it going, guys? Hey, I see you guys. Did you guys see all those pictures over there? It's pretty sweet, right? I wanted to put that banner right by you guys because I knew you guys would know what I was talking about over there. For those that don't know me, I'm Zach or ZS Diamanti. I drove all the way from Colorado Springs this morning, which was a 3-hour drive, except for also you guys apparently are on Central Time. So here I am thinking, man, I'm so cool. I'm gonna go get there an hour early because I'm like just so smart and I like to, make things easy on myself. And then I'm driving along and I realize I'm like looking at my ETA and I'm like, that math doesn't add. Oh, Central Time. And therefore, we had to make an unavoidable stop so I could shoot you an email and say, oh my gosh, I am going to be there. I just am not going to be the hour early that I thought it's going to be. But I made it. We're here. And we made it safe and sound. And sometimes math is hard because we like to write books, right? Like words. Words are fun. Math is hard. That's why my wife does all of the business math for me and stuff. But have you guys, who in here has TikTok? Usually that's where people know me from. Hey, good on you guys. I prefer not to have it if I could not have it as well. That would be awesome. You guys over here. Who has Instagram? Somebody in here? Yeah, okay. A few Instagrammers. All right. So up until this year, TikTok was my big place where everybody knew who I was. And get a lot of people coming up to tables and being like, "Oh my gosh, I know you," and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, TikTok." And they'd be like, "Yeah, too. I know you from TikTok." But now I have to be like, "Oh, TikTok, Instagram. What are we talking about here?" And funny enough, one time, only once, still to this day, it's only happened once. Somebody come up to me at a reader event and they're like, "Oh my gosh, check it out." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, TikTok, Instagram, which one?" And they're like, "Oh, Twitter." What? Really? Really post there, but that's great. I'm glad it's working. Hi, nice to meet you. So always fun surprises when you're an author. For those that don't know me, hi, I'm Zach. Super easy. I am I'm a fantasy author. Obviously, you can tell by all the creatures and random things on the banners. But I got started off writing books after I came back from Afghanistan. Actually, I didn't start writing books then. I started writing short stories. When I came back from Afghanistan, I was in the military, and I came back after my deployment. I had a hard time with visual art, and so I was having a hard time expressing my feelings and the things that I had growing inside visual media like I used to prior to my deployment in Afghanistan. And so I started taking up writing. And I started writing these really creepy horror stories because apparently I was sick after Afghanistan. Shocked right now. And so I was able to kind of really get some interesting emotions out while I was writing all these short stories. But then my wife suggested, well, why don't you try to sell some of these short stories to magazines and journals and all sorts of places? So it's like, all right, let's give it a try. And sure enough, I started selling stories, and I was like, well, this is kind of cool. This is fun. This is neat. So that was where my publishing journey started, was in the horror short story space. And after that, so after I came back from Afghanistan, I actually got out of the military in 2012, so towards the end of 2012. And then I went straight into ministry for about 10 years. So I was in pastoral ministry for about 10 years. I had 8 great years in ministry. And then after COVID, I had about 2 terrible years in ministry. And it was a pretty rough 2 years that made me go, okay, hang on. Well, let's relook at this. What are we actually going to do going forward here? And so my wife and I were really wrestling with that for a long while. Until I wrote a book called Stone and Sky. I got one right here. It didn't used to look like this. I recently got new covers, which are gorgeous. I'm so excited about it. But I decided, hey, I grew up in a military house and then I joined the military myself. So I always had military aircraft flying over my head. And I thought to myself, wouldn't it be so cool to have a fantasy world where all the different fantasy races and kingdoms had like their own air forces? Let's go. Aerial battles. This is going to be so much fun. So cool, right? So that's where the premise started. And as I started writing it, I realized that I was way more into like characters and like the people and the interactions. Weird, I was a pastor for 10 years, shocker. And so I really loved these character interactions. And so what I ended up doing was I had all these characters that maybe didn't work together very well. And I blended them together because I thought that was really fun. And so I wrote this book, Stone and Sky, and it took me about 2.5 years to write it. And I gave it to my wife and I said, all right, here you go. Read it. Now, let me give you some background on my wife, okay? Yeah. Like I said, I dabbled in a lot of art forms prior to writing, right? A lot of drawing. I used to color comics, which was really, that was a really cool thing. I used to play music, all these different things, right? My wife is very, very good. I'm a dreamer. She's very, very good at telling me that's stupid or dumb. And she's like, yeah, that might not be your thing, right? So that was our conversation years and years and years and years. Until I handed her Stone and Sky, and she comes back to me a couple of days later, and I'm like, just waiting, because I'm like, this is it. Here we go. Just tell me some time, and let's just move on. That's fine. Let's get it going. She was like, you can do this. I was like, oh no. Wait, I did something right? Like I did a good one. And she was like, yeah, you can do this. We need to do some family math. The numbers person, right? So we did a lot of family mathematics too. Okay, how long can we survive if I quit my job and chase after this author dream and like really try to hit it hard, right? And she was like, the numbers person. She goes in and she gives me a year, all right? A whole year, can you believe this? I was like, what? Okay, all right, calm down, Zach. Don't get too crazy. I know those are dreams, right? We call her my anchor, by the way, which is, I know this sounds terrible because you think of anchors and they're covered in barnacles and like seaweeds. Anyway, she keeps my ship from floating out of the sea and into the sky, into the space, right, where we can't breathe. So she keeps me safe and grounded. And she said, okay, you got 1 year to do this thing. Go figure out how to sell books, go figure out how to do all this stuff, because this book is good and I think you can do this. So I did. So I quit my job in August, it was at the end of August in 2022. Stone and Sky, this book came out in August 2023, okay? So I was like, I'm taking that whole year. She said a year, I was taking it, right? And I spent the time working on building website on the website, even though I had no books out yet. I spent the time working on putting together stories that I was going to give away to people for free to get them to join the readers list and be a part of the club. That's where the Stone and Sky Preludes collection came from, which is super fun because it's 7 stories about different characters that you meet in Stone and Sky. And it's like stories about what they're doing right before you meet them, right? And so like, I mean, I went so far to even put in like, oh, this is Sparkle. He's an mage and he's awesome. And when you read the story, this is what happens to him right before chapter 8 of Stone and Sky. So I get people who read them as like companion novels together, which is super fun. But I built all these different things and I built all these funnels and tried to figure out how to do all the business side of things. And I realized that people were like, yo, you gotta be on social media if you want to sell books, especially because you don't have any books and nobody knows who you are, right? Because like some of you guys, I didn't have social media because I didn't care. I didn't want it personally. So I started building my social media. And as we come up to the 1 year time, when this is my time, this is when it comes out. We had 2 months left, right? 2 months left. We have our family credit card, maxes out at 5,000. When did we never, like, I was in a list. Even back then, we weren't making money, right? I was enlisted. $5,000 was where it kept up. So we were at negative $5,000 because the card was maxed out for the business. And we had $32 in the bank. And I was like, well, cool. I mean, guys, and we've got soup, we've got ramen, we've got mac and cheese. Mom might even be able to split from some hot dogs this month, okay? Just so go crazy, all right? Don't get crazy. I know. He's like, that sounds like heavenly luxury food over here. I know, I feel it. And so we're like, hey, this is it. So 2 months left, that's where we are financially. We're like, we put everything into this. I was like, you told me to do it. So like, let's try to make sure we do it right. And the book comes out and in August 29th, 2023. And the rest is history. I have not had a single other job since then. And I used to do some graphic design work on the side, just to kind of like fill in the gaps while I was building all of this and getting ready for that year. But September of 2023, and 2 days after the book came out, was the last graphic design job I ever took because we were selling books. All because my wife took a chance and said, you can do this. Gave me the confidence to go, okay, then I'm going to go do this. And I will admit, having feet for kids does light a fire under you. It gives you a little bit of encouragement to go and get things done. But Stone and Sky came out to raving reviews. People were really excited about it. It's this old school fantasy with very nostalgic vibes, characters that are going on these epic adventures together. And people love that. And now, over time, I learned that that was not the best way to sell it. But at the very least, I found the right readers early on. Fast forward, here we are, 2 years. Let's see, it's been 2 years. That's right, we're in November of 2025, all right? So 2 years and 2 months. Now I've got 7 books out, which is insanity. In fairness, when Stone and Sky came out, obviously I had this one done, right? Because this was the one that I was starting to give away to people for free. And then admittedly, I also had this one written and drafted up by the time this one came out, right? This one took me about 2.5 months. Drastic difference between 2.5 years and 2.5 months. And that's just because I learned how to write books better, right? You learn how through the process and you go, hey, I hate that. I'm going to do it this way next time. And it's so much better and so much faster. And then, of course, most people know me from Garden to Garden. This is the special one. This is one that you see over here. And this is the one that really broke me out this year because it's Veterans Healing Journey told in a cozy fantasy. And cozy fantasy right now, you guys don't know, cozy fantasy is like fire. Everybody wants it right now. And you're like, all right, this is great. This is great as an author. But cozy fantasy is, so we got Stone and Sky, right? We got Stone and Sky, and it's this epic fantasy series, right? I gave all the different people groups, different flying creatures, like the humans got griffins. They became the Griffin Garden, like the most noble people, right? And then we got the orcs who ride wyverns, which is so awesome, by the way. And I actually have orc point of views in my books, which is really cool, and people like it a lot. In fact, a lot of people, this guy right here, a lot of people tell me he's their favorite character. Why? Because he's just an orc dad trying to like do his best, and like, even though his orc friends kind of stink sometimes, right? And then the elves we gave Pegasi, and then of course dwarves are the best, right? Everybody agree? Dwarves are the best. If you disagree, I'm not listening. It's okay. Because dwarves are the best. So I had to come up with something really good for those guys. So I created these things called Garbox, which are these black panthers with bat-like wings, and they're so fierce that dwarves have to put like a glidden team together to go and hunt them and actually use dwarf magic to turn them to stone. And then when they do, they etch a rune on their shoulder, and when they wake it up, it's bonded with the dwarven warrior. Savage. Now, imagine that thing flying around in epic aerial battles. Let's go, right? Okay. So now we're talking epic fantasy. All these guys, maybe they don't necessarily like each other so much, but from across the sea, the sorcerer is coming and he's bringing something that they all thought was extinct, a massive dragon that's going to change the game. So, do they all kind of figure it out and work together, or do they all just die? So, those are your choices, really. That's right. That's what I'm talking about. So here you go. You got this epic fantasy. Oh my gosh, the world's ending. We all gotta band together and figure out how to save the day. Otherwise, the world ends. Right? Cozy fan. Totally different. Fun fact: Garden of the Garden actually takes place in the same world as Stone Sky, called the world of Celestia. But this is a story about a dwarven warrior who ends up getting injured in a battle. Technically, that battle actually happens in Stone and Sky, which is a really fun little Easter egg thing, but people read Governors of Garden by itself all the time. But it's about a dwarven warrior who ends up getting injured in battle and can't be a warrior. He's spent his whole life being a warrior, but now he can't be a warrior. What do you do with a warrior who can't be a warrior anymore? Anybody seen White Christmas? Yeah, what do you do with the general? All right. So, can't be a warrior anymore, so he goes and he lives with his eccentric twin aunts who are little kooky, little zany, but they tell him to stop being grumpy, get off the couch, get outside, get some vitamin D, as good aunts do. And so he does. And he goes and he visits this garden where he meets this woman named Tilly, her daughter Lily, and Tilly teaches him how to grow again. And Lily teaches him how to laugh again because she's always like getting him at board games and stuff. She spent way too much time with one of his aunts who's a total shark at the local tavern. Anyways, that's a whole other thing. But between the two of them, they might just be able to teach this old warrior how to live. This is cozy fantasy. This is personal stakes. When it comes to epic fantasy, the world's gonna end. We gotta fix it together. When it comes to cozy fantasy, we're talking about very personal stakes, really low stakes, but sometimes still in high fantasy, right? So there's still magic, there's still okay, one of the best things about cozy, by the way, is the villains. The best part is that his nemesis is actually a tortoise. I don't know if you guys can see the tortoise on the background over there, but you see him looming in the background? Yeah, okay, that's the best part about cozy. But yeah, this is what cozy fantasy is, right? And so I came out with this book, Guardian of the Garden, and people are like, what the heck is this? This is crazy. It's such this beautiful tale of a veteran just trying to figure out who the heck he is now that he can't be a warrior. And frankly, that was the hardest thing for me to figure out too. I got out of the military and was like, wait, wait, guys, we good. Oh, right, you guys still got a mission. All right, well, see you guys later. What do I do? What's my mission? What's my purpose? And by the way, as you remember, I did mention I was in ministry for 10 years. I mean, that's a pretty clear purpose. But at the same time, I was still struggling with all these thoughts and trying to figure out who the heck I was, what my actual mission was, what my actual purpose was. Because in the military, somebody tells you what your mission and purpose is, and they go, that's it, they'll get it. You go, all right, yes, sir, they'll get it, right? And what happens? Everybody else is on mission with you. You go with it. So I wanted to tell that story, but I didn't want to leave everybody depressed because that's a tough story to tell. And then the venue, the avenue of cozy fantasy presented itself to me, and I said, there we go. You can tell this story in a place where he'll be safe, he'll have ants, and he'll have interesting characters and zany characters that he interacts with. He'll have people he helps out with in the community. He even gets suckered into a pie eating contest at a harvest festival. Yes, it's a cozy fantasy. Yes, it's fun, right? And he eats way too much pie because he doesn't know how to do a pie eating contest, right? But cozy fantasy gave me the avenue to actually write this really difficult, challenging story in a place where you could really enjoy it and walk away with hope and smile and just a warm heart, right? And thus, it was so popular. It was so popular that I had to write wagons and wyverns. This is the next cozy fantasy. And what do you do with the next one? All right, well, let's see. Well, I've got a goblin. And his name is Arnie, and he has crippling anxiety. because he's a huge introvert. Weird, anybody relate? Yeah, all right. We're at the library, we can be truthful with each other, all right? Hey, he's got crippling anxiety, he's a huge introvert, and he used to work for an evil orc king. But that orc king got overthrown, so now he's like trying to hide and just trying to live his life under the radar. The new king tasks him to go on a wagon quest with a jovial halfling wagoner who is like the most extroverted person you've ever met in your life. And he talks like this, and he's got so many words, and he just cannot stop talking. And he'll ask you questions, but he'll keep talking, and you're like, oh. But he's the nicest halfling you've ever met. And he makes best friends. He's best friends with everybody the second he meets them, right? So you got this introvert who's like friends with nobody. And then you got this introvert who's friends with everybody he meets, right? And the two of them go on a wagon quest together. What could go wrong? And so it's just this really fun road adventure where the two of them get to go on a quest together and they learn from each other and they grow and they get better because iron sharpens iron. And they end up meeting a whole bunch of zany characters and creatures, like a really grumpy molar goat named Gregory. He's might be my favorite, I'm not gonna lie. And they may or may not end up having pancakes with mad sorcerer. It's kind of cozy, yeah. It's pretty fun. So I get to do all these amazing things. But while I'm doing these amazing things, I'm meeting all these amazing authors and other people within the industry. So we were just talking about it 2 minutes ago about how the audiobook for Garden the Garden and the audiobook for Wedding Warriors just came out yesterday, actually, because I signed a pretty awesome audiobook deal with Simon Schuster's imprint, Simon Maverick. And that is a really cool thing that I would have never gotten the chance to do if I hadn't been doing all the different things. I've been last 2 years, 2.5 to 3 years, right? And because of all of these things that I've gotten to meet all these different cool people and artists and narrators and other authors. And so I put together this incredible anthology. Check this thing out. I gotta show you guys this because this is really neat. But it's so shiny, right? Oh, shiny. Right. But it is so cool. I got 22 of my author friends to write stories for this. So we got 22 sci-fi and fantasy authors who wrote a story for this book. And we were like, okay, here's the deal. We know how to do this now. So we're going to do this thing right. So we did like sprayed edges. We got interior art that's full color and all sorts of craziness. And we got all sorts of pictures here. You want to see it? This one's crazy. Look at how many heads that thing has. Isn't that nuts? Isn't that crazy? It's kind of awesome. But I mean, I couldn't do these things if the last 3 years I hadn't had my wife say, you can do these. And because of that, I try to encourage everybody I meet. I try to encourage everybody I talk to, go for it. Good, because honestly, this is 2 years. I have only been selling books for 2 years at this point. Now, I've been working on it for a year before that. But at this point, it has changed our lives completely. Now I'm traveling constantly. We were talking about that earlier too. Just got back from Author Nation in Las Vegas. I don't know, has anybody ever heard of that? Maybe you guys have seen ads for Reader Nation, which is their new event where readers can actually come to meet authors in Las Vegas. It's not my favorite place in the world, but man, I do like magic, so going to magician shows is like, I'm so nerdy now when I go there. My daughter's all jealous. I had to bring her a deck of cards because she's like, you mean it's not my favorite? Which is so fun. But I mean, I get to do that. I mean, this summer, my wife and I got invited to go to London to speak at an authors conference in London. I mean, I'm traveling all over the place and constantly. And we were just talking about my son was like, "You're leaving again?" I was like, "No, it's only 3 hours. I'm gonna be back." I mean, I'm going back in time, forward in time. I don't know what I'm doing, but we're gonna get that sorted out. And then I think next week or the week after, I'm in Cheyenne, and then the week after that, I'm in Salt Lake, because my wife said, you can do this, right? All comes back to that. And yeah, she's a numbers person, and yeah, she's a great anchor, keeps me way down. But sometimes you need that anchor person to go, oh, dude, run with this. Go. You can do this. Go do it. And it's been insane. And it's been wonderful. But I've gotten to meet so many amazing. I've got to tell so many fun stories. And I've got so many more fun stories coming. I think next year we've got 3 books planned for release, including 2 more cozy fantasies in the same world of Celestia. And I'm working on a co-author project with another author right now. And it's just a whirlwind, right? It's just crazy. Always, always, always. But then I get emails every once in a while. Hey, want to come out to the library? And do a thing? I'm like, yes, let's do it. So hopefully, in all of that crazy rambling, you guys got some encouragement, because seriously, that's all I want to leave you guys with, is encouragement. And how did I do on time? We're good? Okay. All right. So can I open it for questions? Okay. All right. So if you guys have any questions, happy to talk with you about anything. Thanks for inviting me to bring me here. So yeah. Yeah, what do we got?
First off, thank you for your service. I really appreciate that. Your whole family too.
It's a whole family thing. Yeah.
We of a homeschool book club, and I just wondered what age groups you would say your books are.
Perfect question. I love that you asked that. So one of the things that I really wanted to make sure I was doing is I have kids as well. I have 4 kids, and I want to enjoy those stories with my kids. So I really made sure that they were super tight, super clean. We don't have any swearing. We don't have any behind the doors scenes. If you know, if you get my drift. And we also, even though we have epic battles, because obviously it's a fiction, guys, we gotta have aerial battles, right? Even though we have those, I keep it really tight, and we don't go into graphic description. Please trying to pull anything back into the body or anything right now. We're good. Right? So we keep it super tight. I usually say 10 plus, because that's just kind of how I felt like it fits. I know other families have kind of started with their kids at 8, but they're kind of reading them together. So I wrote them originally just as like for fellow fantasy adult nerds who would be like, this would be great. But I also kept it super tight. So pretty much anybody who takes that can super enjoy it. In fact, my daughter's 5th grade class, they devoured these books. It was hilarious. The teacher was like, hey, listen. You got any more of those dinged up books? And I was like, yes, I do. Hang on, let me go to the basement. I go 5 minutes in. I was like, I'll just bring them all to you, and you can give them out for everybody. Because I guess the boys were like not wanting to bring them back, and other boys were waiting on them, and so the girls were like, well, we didn't get the. That was the whole thing. But so I gave her all the ones I had. I got her squared up, but they were loving it. So, any other questions? How old are my kids? Okay, so I have one son who just moved out and left to go to CSU in Fort Collins, which is fantastic. I love the kid, but he's a genius and he needed to leave anyway. As much as I would love to keep him so he could help us fulfill books at the house, I was like, nah, your future's still a little bright from that, but you go and go. So he's off there doing the engineering. So he's 18, and actually returned to the fulfillment center. Which is so awesome. He comes back and he's like, oh, and just like sleeps in the bunk with his brother now. So it's kind of awesome. And then I've got a 16-year-old who can drive, thank God. So he can maneuver around with his other brother who's 14 and got a 13-year-old daughter. Who's my favorite? I don't tell anybody, but they all know it. So it's terrible. It's like they're like, you can't have a favorite kid. And then they're like, you also can't have a favorite book either that you love. I'm like, well, I mean, I'll just tell you. I'm like, this one's probably my favorite to make me cry. But then this one is like so fun and stupid that I like have so much fun. Anyway, it's like the kids. It depends on the day too. It's like, how you doing? You're pretty, you know what? You're the man. Thank you for helping me with that. You're my favorite. Say again. That's another good question. I get asked that a lot. So with the Stone and Sky series, as you can see, I kind of put them in an order. But they actually say book one, besides two, because I'm not a monster. I don't know how many. Where did we get this idea? Where it was like, hey, I'm gonna write a series of books, and then you gotta read the order, but I'm not gonna put a number on the side, so you really can't figure out which one. I'm like, why did you do that? That's a mess. Okay, so yeah, Stone and Sky, and then Stone and Sky and Stone and Ruin. That's 1, 2, and 3. And then I actually put. Did we put 0 in it? Okay, on the old covers, we actually had 0 on the sides for the free list, but it's kind of obvious that it's a different number. But for Garden, and Wagons and Wyverns, they're actually standalone books. And so you can just read them whichever way you like. Technically, if you want the technical answer, that like the author knows all the timeline answer, technically, right? Garden happens at the same time as these 3 books. Because Garden actually goes through each season of the year. So I thought I'd be clever, and I was like, oh my gosh, it'll be a garden, and they go through the whole. Yeah, that made life really easy when I was writing that. And then technically, it ends shortly after Stone and Ruin, and then Wagons and Wyverns technically comes after Garden, if you want to think. The tape over it. But a lot of people start with Garden, and then they love the characters, they love the world, and then they're like, oh man, I'm gonna read the next one, and then usually they'll jump into Stone and Sky, but now that Wagons and Wyverns is out, it came out in September, so it's a little newer. And now they jump to Wagons and Wyverns, and then they jump to Stone and Sky, so. Yeah, but there's all sorts of little fun crossovers and little Easter eggs and stuff. But I tried to make it super easy that like you can kind of jump in on any of the 3 early on. What you got, girl? What's the biggest book I read? Okay, check this out. This is weird. Okay, this is weird. Watch this. All right, so you see these 3 books right here? This. Which one's the biggest? Tell me. That one? I think so. Yeah. Which one do you think is biggest? Red? Okay, anybody else want to guess? Which one's the biggest?
I guess they're all the same,
Okay, I'm a sick weirdo apparently. Okay, apparently this is not a thing that happens to normal authors. But every single one of these books is about 121,000 words within 400 words of each other.
Oh my gosh.
That is sick, right? That's weird, right? I don't know why. I don't know why. That's so weird, I know. So I think technically, all right, technically the blue one has more pages. Oh, no, wait, the red one has more pages, but the blue one has slightly more words than the red one, just because of the way it, worked out or was formatted. Isn't that weird? That's so weird, right? But hey, that big green one, that one's got like 700 pages. It's crazy. What's your question? How long did it take me to write it? Right, this guy right here, 2.5 years, man. Like half the life guy. Right, this is like crazy, right? I know. But then, right, this one took me only like 2.5 months. And then this guy took me only 2.5 months. You know why? Because when you practice something, you get better at it. You actually know how to do it. And it makes it easier for you to do it. And you knock it out quicker than you did before, right? Pretty cool, huh? He's like, I don't believe it. I'm not going to practice all the time. I don't. Oh, you know what? I forgot to show you guys this one. This is kind of fun. So, I told you guys that I started at horror short stories, right? All right. So, I was at a writer's retreat where I was doing a little bit of a talk, and there was a publisher there, and I didn't realize time. And they, we were doing this kind of weird, like, oh, hey, let's do a short story read thing, or read night at the event, at the retreat. And I was like, I don't know, you guys want me to read my short story? That's kind of weird, like, but I came from some dark places, I was working some things out, right? But they were like, no, read one of the creepy ones, because like retreat, it's like campfire and everybody wants something creepy. So I was like, all right. So I read this story called Playing in the Dirt, which you can tell just by the title, it's a creepy story. And it's all about a mortician's son, after his dad passes away, and he doesn't know how to run the family business. Anyways, it's a whole thing. It was freaky, right? And so they were like, afterwards, they came up to me and they're like, dude, that was sick. You should be a narrator, first of all. And second of all, we want you to write something. I was like, okay, yeah, that's all right, fine. I was like, you guys know how to write fantasy now. Like, cool. I'm like, explain to myself, I'm feeling good. We're good. So that was that. And they were like, no, you got it. You come and write this thing. So they were putting together this whole series called Twisted Tales of Familiar Faces. And so it's basically all these different characters that everybody's familiar with that are now in the public domain. And they're like, we want you guys to write creepy stories about these characters, right? So somebody did Don Quixote. Somebody did a book called Strangle, Tangle. That was fun, right? Paul Bunyan. Somebody did Popeye. Like some really interesting characters, really creepy things. Now, mind you, I've been creating an audience with all my very we're clean, we're tight, we're all this. And I was like, so mine's gonna be a little different from the rest of these. And they're like, that's fine, do what you gotta do. So they were like, actually, you wanna do Hercules? And I was like, Hercules? Yes, please, let's go. I was like, that's basically fantasy, let's rock and roll with this. And so I wrote this really interesting book called Scorn, which is a twisted retelling of Hercules at the end of his life, after all of his labors. And so kind of how he is exploring and trying to figure out his own past and how he wants his legacy to be remembered at the end of his life, even after some of the bad. If you guys know anything about the mythology of Hercules, he had some messes to clean up later on. So I thought that was a really fun thing that I got to do, and it's kind of jumping back into my horror space that I really enjoyed when I was doing short stories. And as you can see, it was really short. They were like, hey, we just want a novella, 30,000 words or so. And I was like, that's easy. So I don't know if you guys know this, but just writing in fantasy and making stuff up as you go is really fun. And I can write a book like that. Well, but then when you gotta play in somebody else's mythology, and also mythology that's been around for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, I was like, oh, okay, how much creative liberty do I have here? And like, what can I actually play with? And so at a certain point, all the research was like, okay, we've got enough research, we just gotta do this and write it. And that book, actually, so check this out. This book, 121,000 words. This book, 31,000 words. Guess which one took me longer to read?
Or small. Hercules.
Doggone it, did. It really did take me longer to read. Oh, man. Killed me. It killed me. But, it's so funny. I had a live the other day, and somebody on the line was like, oh my gosh, tell me there's going to be another one after Scorn. And I was like, oh man, I don't know. I was like, they definitely have asked me to come back and do another one, but man, I don't know. That one was rough. That one was tough to write. But apparently it's still hitting, especially with this, which is pretty fun. So yeah.
Are you selling any of your books today?
Yeah, I actually have a bin over there. My brother and I were like, hey, let's pack them all in here this morning. Yeah, guys, seriously, I thought like we were way ahead of the game. And I'm like, I'll just drop you off. It's be great. like seriously, it was so great. Until I saw that APA and I was like, oh no, that's not good. But yes, she helped me stuff some books. All the ones I have on the table, I do have, except for the honor anthology, because that one actually doesn't technically come out until March next year, so March 31st. And which reminds me, I did keep it for the anthology as well. Which was kind of fun because I very specifically picked a whole bunch of authors. We had one author who did not follow instructions, so we were like, yeah, that story's not gonna fit, guy. But then everybody else did follow instructions, so that was good. But that one doesn't come out until March, but I bring it because obviously they're so pretty, and actually we have a Kickstarter. I don't know, does anybody there ever use Kickstarter? It's this really cool platform. Where, yeah, you have really cool platform. You'll see a lot of authors using it nowadays because, well, what it gives us the ability to do, if you look at these books, they're kind of ridiculous. They're really gorgeous, and they got, ribbons, they got threading, and they got sprayed edges, and they got full color interiors, and it's ridiculous, right? Way nicer than any book has the right to be, right? And the cool thing about Kickstarter is it allows us to make books like that we normally can't. So, for example, they're super expensive to print, right? Ridiculous. Like this best print alone cost us, I want to say like $35. It's crazy, okay? And it was printed in the UK. So it also had to ship all the craziness, right? Thing about that is if we know how many that we have to print, then we can buy them in bulk and it brings the cost down. And so by doing it through Kickstarter, basically what happens is you get all these people who jump on and want a copy and want to back the Kickstarter, and then at the end of the Kickstarter, their pledge is over, and you have an exact list of this is how many books we have to actually print. Now we can take it to the printer and be like, okay, this is how many we need, and then they go, hey, we can drop your cost a little bit. You're like, oh, thank you. So, but that we have a Kickstarter running right now for that. So if anybody is interested in checking that out, we do have that. It's kind of fun because one of the things that you do is you pop it up there and you're like, our goal is to reach $15,000. We managed to hit that in the first 3 hours, and we're done. And then after that, it's just all sorts of like stretch goals and fun bonus stuff happening. We doubled. I think we're at like 41,000 or something right now, like Kickstarter campaign, which is super awesome. I will warn you, if you start down that road, all right, you will end up like me, where you've got like 40 stinking gorgeous books that you're like, oh my God, they're all beautiful. And then you just keep getting them because they're so pretty. And Kickstarter is a rabbit hole. So beware. But yeah, any other questions? I see coming up, like we're done.
A author's conference?
Would I do?
Right.
Totally. Yeah.
Some of them don't know what they're doing.
Oh, yeah, so, if it makes you feel better, half the time I don't even know. What Totally, yeah, I totally recommend, going to some author conferences, getting in some panels, listening and hearing what other people are doing, because, really, that is kind of how I had to learn the authoring business, right? I had to learn that side. I was like, I can write stories, we can make stories, let's go, but writing books and selling books is a different beast. They're two different sides of the coin. They go together, but they also require entirely different skills and know-how. And so I definitely recommend going to conferences. For you guys, Denver's not too far, so you could, there's one called Rocky Mountain Fiction Writers. So this past September, so yes, just this past September, I was honored as the Rocky Mountain Fiction Writer of the Year, which is super awesome. Thank you. And they put on a conference, that organization, put on a conference every year, in Denver, so it's not too far for you guys. And it's usually, so it's Rocky Mountain fiction writers, and I think it's called Gold Conference usually. They had like a special year where they changed it just because it was like the 40th anniversary or something. So I hope I'm telling you the right thing, but it's called Rocky Mountain Fiction Writers. So definitely look that one up because it's really not fun. They usually, for the last couple of years, they had me come back to speak and teach. I usually get to teach. Everybody likes to hear about how you learn how to sell books on social media. So I do a lot of talking on that. And then, I do end up talking about how to read opinions and all sorts of things. So I spend a lot of time traveling around to conferences, and I definitely recommend, especially if you're trying to learn the business side of things, because the stories, we do have kind of natural ability with stories, right? And so we can improve craft, but where we really need to improve, for most of us, I don't say most of us, for me, it was the business side of figuring out how to actually get the books into readers' hands. So, yes, so.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank you.
I want you to think about, so that is, think back 25, 30 years, how books published and how people wrote things, and sent letters in, so guess your stuff was good or no, it wasn't good. About 15 million rejection letters. And now people like that don't have to wait for people to say yes or no. Because why, of course, help.
Yeah.
Or the industry of publishing, of writing, of getting the word out through social media is so dynamically changed. It's just phenomenal to think what we have and the blessing that it is. I mean, it gives us more, but I just think about the steps we have got to come forward. And the authors that we've had here that have written books and some, even a couple of years ago, that are actually writing their own. And now that we think about all of the social media that they're interacting with and the people and the stuff, it's phenomenal. And you can see that the young man.
I'm one.
And you go to nothing, it's all come to be involved. You know, he's professional.
Yeah.
Doing things.
I love that you mentioned that, because that was part of the story at any time. Is I actually queried 6 agents. All right. I spent 1 week. All right. 1 week after my wife told me to go for it and I quit my job. I spent 1 week querying agents and sending stone and sky out to agents. And then I said, this is dumb. Why am I doing this? It's gonna take 4 years, 3 to 4 years for me to even get an agent, and then actually to get it sold to a publisher, and then a publisher actually put it out. I was like, I got 4 kids to feed. I don't have 4 years. You're ready to give me 1 year. And I was like, all right. I'm not going to try it, but I went indie, and now I have an agent. Now I've got trad deals. Now we've got other traditional deals, and there are other roads now that you can take that maybe weren't roads that you could take back in the day. So.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you are.
I've got one last question for you. Do you have much input into the graphic of the book?
So as an indie author, I have all of it. It's the best. It's my favorite. And because I work with some really, really amazing artists, even with my trad deals now, they're kind of like, no, we like what you've done. Just hand it over. I'm like, all right, there you go. And so because I work with some amazing artists, even the trad publishers are like, no, we like what you got. So yeah, that's why I love working with all the different people. That's kind of my favorite thing, getting to work with these amazing narrators and getting to work with all these artists to do these amazing pieces that you guys see. Like it's kind of awesome. And when you develop these relationships with some of these guys, you're just like, you just go back to the well and you're like, hey, remember how we did that thing like a few months back? Let's do another thing. Let's go. And they're like, dude, this is awesome. So you really kind of develop those good relationships. Some of them you're like, hey, working with you was kind of a pill, so that was fun, but let's not. Okay, it's cool. I'll call you. Don't worry about it. Right, and then you know. No, I get all the input. Well, until I don't. So, until I get a different kind of trend deal, which is a whole other piece that my agent is nagging at me about. Nagging isn't the right word. She's great. She's pushing for. So, yeah.
Very good.
Yeah,
Thank you.
of course. Of course. Well, and I do have books if anybody would like to come and talk to me about those. So I'll go over here and it said us.